pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, and Dolly, if you could do the roll, please.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Here.
Councilwoman Capaldi. Here. Councilman Cahill.
Here.
Councilman Dean.
Here.
Councilman Abbott.
Here. All right, well, I am going to officially hand the baton out to Deputy Supervisor
Attorney Janowski, I'm sorry.
Present. Capaldi. Patty, you're on.
So we are gathered here this evening to tell a story which I think is remarkable about the wonderful partnership that happens in our community with our first responders. On November 17th, 2019, a team came together and were able to save a life. A few days ago, the patient's wife, Michelle, emailed the president of Northeast Quadrant Advanced Life Support the following email. Hello, my name is Michelle Ferreira, and my husband Carlos and I live at Webster Woods Townhomes on Royal Sunset Drive. Tomorrow, 11/17/20, will mark 1 year to the day when my husband went into cardiac arrest around 4 p.m. on Royal Sunset Drive. The EMT who responded worked on him for 25 minutes before they got a pulse. No one thought he would survive, but after 2 weeks on life support, to the amazement of all of us and the doctors, Carlos woke up. This year certainly has taken its toll on so many families during this pandemic, and we are sure the EMT workers have seen many heartbreaking events. So we wanted to share some good news with all of you. Due to the heroic efforts of your team, my husband's life was saved. He certainly has had many hurdles to overcome, but continues to make progress, so thank you so much. All of you, for all you do for the community and families in need. During these stressful times, we thought some good news would put a smile on some of your faces. Sincerely, Carlos and Michelle Ferreira. Certainly Michelle is right. News like this does put a smile on all of our faces, as I'm sure it does everyone in the room today and those who are listening. It's not very often that first responders get to meet their patients, and there's probably no meeting more significant than meeting a patient whose life you saved from cardiac arrest. Carlos, you probably don't remember much of this, but I'm going to go through what happened. On November 17, 2019, Carlos Ferreira experienced cardiac arrest near his home. Webster police officer Sam States was the first on the scene, and recognizing the patient was in cardiac arrest, applied an AED which delivered a shock. CPR was promptly initiated. Northeast Quadrant Advanced Life Support Deputy Chief and Paramedic Matt Lloyd arrived on the scene, closely followed by NEQ EMT Chris Devlin and West Webster Fire Department EMT Caleb Stanler. Shortly thereafter, West Webster firefighter Cameron Antonelli, Lieutenant James Cometh, and Captain Brian Zimmer arrived, as did NEQALS Deputy Chief and Paramedic Julie Jordan. The team worked feverishly for 25 minutes on scene, delivering one more shock and administering several rounds of cardiac medicines. The result is that today, Carlos Ferreira is able to come up and say thank you to the team that saved his life. So it gives me great pleasure to welcome to the podium Carlos and his wife Michelle, his two daughters Kalina and Alexandra. Who am I forgetting here? Okay. Not to forget the son-in-law Jordan. And Carlos, I'd like to introduce you to the team that was with you on that very special day. Come on up. And I think we have some certificates to present. Do you want to do that first? Okay. Well, one of you, I'm sure, would like to say a few words. Please do.
So this is a little bit overwhelming. We didn't really expect this, so I am a little nervous. But we did just want to reach out to let the first responders know how much we appreciated what they did for our family. We know you probably don't always know the outcome of patients you help. And I'm sure many of you thought that on that day, November 17th, that Carlos probably died. But he didn't because of your extraordinary efforts, and you saved him. And like I mentioned in the email, there's so much tragedy and so much sadness that we're surrounded with during this pandemic, so that is why I wanted to let you know the results of your service, the wonderful results, and some good news for once. And our family certainly is grateful for everything you did that day and every day to help others. And we very much appreciate every single person that was there and everyone who helped save Carlos's life. He's really special. So thank you. He's a little nervous, so he says ditto. Thank you.
So if you'd like, we'd like to bring up each of those who were mentioned and present them with a certificate. Supervisor Blair will do that. If we could have Webster Police Department Officer Sam States come up, please.
Thank you.
Sam. Northeast Quadrant Paramedics, Deputy Chief Matt Lloyd and Deputy Chief Julie Jordan.
Thank you so much.
I think we should get Carlos
I think so too.
Okay.
You're the choreographer of this, right?
I think that.
Thank you.
Wes Webster, Northeast Quadrant EMT Chris Devlin, driver Caleb Stamper,
You think we learned anything from the picture the last time? How we doing? Back over here.
There we go, perfect, 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
West Webster firefighters Cameron Antonelli, Lieutenant James Coleman, and Captain Brian Zimmer.
All right, are we coming in order? Is this Cameron? We're not. There's Cameron. All right.
James Coleman.
Yeah, this is and this is the chief.
Perfect, 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome.
Thank you. Copy of that.
Yeah, that's right.
And every day, honestly, so we're grateful. We're grateful for recognizing. We appreciate it.
Well, that is a, that's a tough act to follow, obviously, but onward we go. I would like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the November 5th, 2020 board meeting.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi? Aye. Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
All right, and I think, in fact, I know that it was Councilman Dean that was in for the bills this week, right, Barry?
Yes, I was in, I did the bills this week, I found everything in order, and I suggest that we pay them as submitted.
Second?
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
And I also would submit that the prepaid warrants as submitted by the Director of Finance be approved.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
All right, now I like the fact that the next one is probably the biggest one of the night, and one that I'm pretty happy with how things played out in a year like this. We are going to have a resolution to adopt the 2021 Town of Webster budget. And I would say that, Paul, you've been basically, choreographing this, as the finance director, and really kind of keeping the department heads and the board apprised, and, the preliminary budget, I think it was about 2 months ago, that was approved by this board and filed in the town clerk's office. Anything to say about the final budget here?
Yeah, it hasn't changed since about 2 months ago. We adopted the preliminary budget. We ended up coming in a greater amount under the tax cap than we initially thought we would be. We ended up over $68,000 below the tax cap. And that's because we got a credit. Our New York State Police and Fire retirement contribution went up more than 2%. So when it does that, there's an extra credit that they give you to expand the cap, which I wasn't aware of up front. So it's good news.
Yeah.
We're under the cap, and the even better news is that carries over to next year. So we're already 68,000 to the good for the 2022 budget.
Oh, boy, yeah.
Joe's got that spot
Yeah.
growing
Did
going
you really have to say that out loud? And something that, and this has been a team effort. You talk about a team effort. Just the activity that's happened since the preliminary budget was approved a couple months ago. This board, the department heads, continue to really dig in and find ways for the town to save money without losing services. And, I think we have probably close to almost $300,000 now since the preliminary budget, where we think we've found some betterments for 2021 that aren't reflected in this budget.
Correct.
Which is really nice. And what I've really liked is that nobody got complacent about that.
That's right.
Nobody said, well, we got the preliminary budget in under the 2% cap, let's just kind of cruise now. If anything, people kind of got, I felt like there was a momentum going.
Right.
Almost like a competition that, you did a certain contract for services and you found a discount. And then Councilman Cahill's like, well, I got an idea and I bet you that we can save a lot of money in this place. I won't get into details, John, but
Top secret right now.
we'll see how that works out.
That's right.
So that's good. And certainly, that's an exercise that you never stop doing as an organization. When you start to sit there and think, hey, our economics are fine, we don't need to look under, this rock and this and that, that's when you potentially start to have some fat. And so I was really impressed by how the town board and the department heads and everybody has addressed this, so.
It was a great team effort.
It really has been, yep. And I gotta tell you something, for those who have been watching the last few weeks, it's nice to have Councilman Abbott back in the room. Pleasant surprise tonight, because to tell you the truth, I would not have been really thrilled with the final budget and all of these things being, when we get into investment policy and all this stuff we're gonna be getting into, it's nice to have the full board here, and I guess, Bill, you're a fast healer, and that's good to see. I saw you sprint in. So.
Fast as a turtle.
Yeah, well, well, unless the board has any other questions or comments about this budget?
I think we have commented many times.
Well, I propose a resolution to adopt the final 2021 Town of Webster budget.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye?
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Aye, aye, aye.
Aye, aye, aye. Now let's just hope that we can get this COVID thing behind us very quickly, late in 20 or early in 21 and beyond to better days. Well, keeping on with the Paul Adams show tonight,
That's correct.
I think, are you, man, this is almost the whole thing is a Paul Adams show, isn't it?
I noticed that.
I hope that you,
Paul Adams show.
hope you got some water to keep
Yes, so
your-
I do have some more. The next one is the adoption of a fund balance policy. Back in June 30th of 2011, GASB, which is the Governmental Accepted Standards Board, came out with Statement 54, which required municipalities to adopt a fund balance policy. And I noticed that we had not. We aren't alone in that. I think most government entities have kind of overlooked this one. But I thought it would be a good practice, so I put one together. And it essentially identifies the various components of fund balance, which include non-spendable, restricted, committed, assigned, and unassigned. And it sets forth some guidelines for the unassigned balance, which is basically the portion of your surplus which isn't spoken for. So we put in some guidelines for the four major funds, which are the two general funds and the two highway funds, where we'd like to keep the fund balance between a range of 15% and 50% of actual expenditures. If it gets outside of that range, if it gets too high, we'll work to reduce it. We'll try to make some moves to either shift that money or put it to good use. If it's too low, we'll have to make some adjustments to either cut spending or try to find some additional revenues. So I'll take a good look at it once a year, and we'll make adjustments accordingly. So it's just a good best practice.
No, I totally agree.
I
I
want to
think it's
thank you.
helped us all understand.
Oh, it has
what
helped
fund
me.
balance is,
Yes,
too.
absolutely. And I want to thank you for your hard work on this as well.
Sure.
It's made everything much clearer,
Yep.
and I know I appreciate it.
I do as well.
Thanks, Bert.
Association of Towns back last February, was this when?
That's where I first was alerted to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, last February.
Yep.
They were saying how important it was and that hardly any municipalities actually had one in place. So I said, well, I think we should have one.
I agree.
Great work, Paul.
Thanks.
It's as lame an analogy as I can get, if it's your family, you have a budget of what your money comes in from your job and what expenses you pay out. And then you also have your savings. Well, I hope you have your savings, right? Well, if you don't have an agreement about what you're gonna do with that savings, then all of a sudden something comes up and the family's looking at each other like, well, what should we do? What should we do? Not having a fund balance policy is similar to that for the government.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good analogy.
And this is the family. And to have us be able to look to that and not be like on every situation, because I don't know about you, but the rest of the board, nothing personal, guys, but every department head is looking for more money. God bless you, all right? But we can't give out that money, you'll get yours. Is that where you'll get yours? Okay. So it's just nice to have this to fall back on so that we're not sitting in every one of these situations, like, well, should we take that much money out of the fund balance for that situation? Very good guideline. It's just good, solid fiscal budgeting,
It helps with planning also.
move on.
It's very important from a planning standpoint, because I know, Joe, you're gonna need trucks, right? So you gotta plan for those sorts of things.
Yeah.
And you set the money aside, because in 5 years, you're gonna have to spend $400,000 on a truck. Well, you start planning ahead and putting money into that reserve account, so that when the time comes you need to spend it, you don't have to borrow it, because it's already there. Through the fund balance, we can plan effectively.
That's exactly right.
Well,
I would move that we adopt the
Thank
town
you.
of Webster fund balance policy.
Second.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty?
aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
And I promise you, Paul, there won't be as much probably back and forth on the next couple, but just as important.
Yeah.
These two.
Yeah, the next one is the investment policy. It was initially adopted back in August of 2019, and I'm just making a couple of revisions. I increased the amount that we can invest with Canandaigua National Bank from 10 million to 20 million, which puts it on par with some of the other banks. Because right now they're offering some pretty favorable CD rates. It's hard to earn any interest these days. And I also added Evans Bank. Evans Bank just bought out Fairport Savings Bank, and they actually have a branch right in the village. So I have a contact over there, so probably a good idea to get them on the list in case we could do a CD or something with them. But no plans to do it, but gives us the option. So that's it, just those two ads.
Okay, I said there wouldn't be much back and forth. Paul and I might have had our first situation come up where the fact that the interest rates are so low and we're not getting any income on our surplus money, on our investments, that the vendors and service providers haven't caught up to that, and the discounts that they're offering for us to pay earlier lump sum instead of spreading it out
Yeah,
is tantamount to
Right.
like a 4% annual
yeah,
savings.
we just had that last week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and when you're looking at getting savings at 0.5%, 1/4%,
The best I can do right now is 1/4%.
yeah,
Wow.
it kind of was a no-brainer that we're like, well, then pay the thing all up front now with the discount, because we're not earning 4%. We're not even earning close to that. So,
We're taking the discount.
yeah. All right, well,
I would move that we
Yeah,
adopt
thank
the
you.
town of Webster, revise the town of Webster investment policy as submitted by the finance director.
Second.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty?
aye. Well, Paul,
One more time. The next one is a revision to the procurement policy. Probably the big change here is on guideline 7. I can read it. It basically says, this is what I added. Purchases supported by a contract that is not required to be authorized by the town board, which aggregates to an amount that is under the established purchase order threshold, which is $800 for standard purchases and $3,000 for public works purchases, and has been executed by the town supervisor and/or department head, is basically not required to have a purchase order. So we have many small contracts, like in the recreation program, we have people that instruct certain classes, and there's contracts for all that. So it's kind of duplicative to have a contract and then turn around and do a purchase order, just ending up with too many purchase orders floating around. So in my eyes, the contract is the purchase order. You know, you sign off on most of them. It's, Chris Byler would sign off on it. So that's the one big change. And I also changed guideline 11 where I just, I changed the list of those authorized to do purchases to job titles rather than specific names because
Right.
the names seem to be changing quite often.
That's always a good idea,
Yeah.
to have it as job title.
titles, much
Yes.
better. And guideline 15, I revised some of the names of the purchasing groups. These are groups that we are allowed to piggyback. In other words, if there's certain national buying groups, we can piggyback onto some of their bids and buy equipment or supplies or other items at a nationally negotiated bid price. And then guideline 16, which dealt with change orders, I just changed the wording. It was referring to contract amount, and I thought it would be better if it was called approved engineer's project cost estimate. And that's the benchmark we use to, for the various approvals that are required on each change order. Then I added Appendix D, which provides sample wording for invitation for bid documents. Some of the department heads requested that because they from time to time do these invitations for bids and they're not sure how to put it together, and so they end up being inconsistent between departments. So this will help add some consistency and make sure we have all the right things in there, like non-collusion statements, things like that. So there was a rather major revision to the procurement policy.
Do you ever sleep?
I sleep pretty well.
I've already, you have done so much work on all of this, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Constant improvement.
Well, and I appreciate that, I really do. I think it's wonderful that you continue to look at these and not just let them sit in the drawer.
Propose a resolution to approve the revised Town of Webster procurement policy.
Second?
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
And once we've adopted this, which we just did, will all the department heads be receiving this as well?
Yeah, I put it out on a drive, network drive that everybody can reach, but I'll send an email with the policies and to remind everyone
Okay,
where it's located.
that would be great. Thank you.
Yep.
Well, I know there was a lot of skepticism about that this one would ever come about. But boy, Paul, can you explain the next agenda item?
Sure. Yeah, about 10 days or so, I got a call from Matt Tweedle. He's the Director of Internal Audit with Monroe County. And he's been working almost this whole year on the CARES Act program for the county. And he had requested that I send him all of our police department salaries from basically the first week in March through the end of June. And anything else I could think of that I thought may not be covered by FEMA. So I sent him some IT costs also that we had to incur to take everybody remote.
Paul, could you explain to the audience what the CARES Act is?
The CARES Act, I forget what CARES stands for, but it's the federal act that was put in place back in March. It provided the stimulus program to help us build the economy back up after the pandemic, and to help governments replace revenue and offset some of their expenditures that were incurred directly because of the pandemic.
Thank you.
It's actually the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security
Okay, good.
I never knew that.
Act.
Yeah, that actually stood for something.
Thank you, Patty.
Yeah, so anyway, after Matt got back to me after he had done all the calculations and said that we were in line to receive $522,431 $522,425.55.
Can you say that number again, Paul?
$522,431.55. I was surprised. I didn't expect that much.
Yeah.
But we have
And-
lost.
And
that
again,
much, right?
we have visions of sugar plums dancing in the heads.
That's
The emails will fly with requests tomorrow.
But, you know, one of the other things that's really nice is that we got to our budget not knowing this.
Right.
Yes,
So that's
yes.
really,
That's significant.
I will say this,
It really is.
and Paul, I could be wrong on this one, but when you were explaining, you know, when Councilman Dean said, can you explain CARES, and you said it's for the the additional expenses of COVID, but the lost revenues, I do not think it covers the lost revenues.
No, it does not, but
And,
it essentially did.
well, and that's
Yeah,
the thing,
that's what I
is
was
that,
saying.
you know, it's easy to sit here
It
and
does
say,
not.
wow, we just got a pot at the end of the rainbow of $522,000. But I don't want to be a buzzkill here.
Right.
But if Chris Bilo was sitting in the room, our Parks and Rec Commissioner, ask him how much revenue was lost at the Parks and Rec Department between March and August, when the gym was closed and all of those things.
The gym was closed, all our facilities were closed, our rental
Sure.
facilities were all
Yep.
closed.
We lost close to this number, yeah.
The revenue dolly from tax receipts it's receiving back in the town and county for January, when they waived the fees for the second and third and whatever installment. You know, I could go on and on, but I don't want to be a buzzkill, all right? So before everybody sits there and thinks that this is just, you know, $522,000 plus for the town, we could sit here and talk about all those lost revenues, and it really,
What Paul just said,
It
I don't know
helps.
if you heard it or not, he said it just about covers it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty close, I think.
Yep, so, but it's good news. I
It's
mean,
very good news.
you know, you think about it, we're approving the 2021 budget tonight. It's November 19th. That's about 2 months later than usually when the budget is approved.
It's about a month.
It's about a month.
Yeah.
And, you know, for anybody who's been watching these board meetings, you know, I had said I'd really like to kick the can down the road on the 2021 budget because there's just too many unknowns from 2020. Plus, we didn't know what we were facing going into 2021. And as you said, Patty, what's nice is we did that budget not knowing about this $522,000. I think that's a blessing in disguise. So, all good. Correct me if I'm wrong, Paul, but this does not mean that the town doesn't still have the opportunity to submit certain items to the county and through the CARES Act.
Yeah, correct.
I think this ends on December 30th, so anything
Yeah,
that
right.
we might incur between now and the 30th,
There could be more.
we could possibly submit for.
We're
But this-
filing claims with FEMA as well.
Right.
Not anywhere near as large, but
But if I understand correctly, this CARES money has to be distributed by the county by December 30th.
I believe that is
At the end of
correct.
the year, they
Yeah, we-
can't carry it
probably,
over.
Once we sign this agreement.
That's
we
why
should
we have to do this
have
agreement.
it soon.
Right.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So,
I would move that we authorize the town supervisor to sign an intermunicipal agreement for CARES Act distribution with Monroe County.
Second.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi.
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty.
aye.
Councilman Abbott.
Aye.
Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
Did Paul, Charlie, are we tabling this next one?
Tabling? No, we just need authorization for you to sign the agreement. I think we're good to go.
Okay, because there was a gentleman from Alliance that there were some questions about some of the terms in the contract. Is this?
He actually signed the agreement today.
He did. Okay, well, there you have
He's filing the
it. Okay,
agreement. We just need your signature.
okay. And this is all of you. This is
Yeah, we went out to bid a couple of months ago for our cleaning service. And We got several responses. The winning bid ended up going to Alliance Cleaning Service, which is the same company that had been cleaning our recreation center for a number of years. But we're going to have them do multiple locations throughout the town, including the town hall, the police department, the courts building, the highway admin building, and the wastewater treatment plant building, and continue to do the recreation center. So the annual cost will be $106,624. That's split up by facility. The bid was actually split 5 ways, but they were the low bidder overall, so we gave the whole bid to them. So we just need a resolution for the town supervisor to sign the contract, and we'll try to get them on site and get them working by the first of the year.
Paul, how much did we save as a township
Savings
bidding
was
this out to
significant.
one person versus having all of the rest of the buildings have their own cleaning service?
It was significant. The annual savings is about $80,000.
Thank you.
Great work.
So it was well worth it.
Yes.
Fantastic.
I would authorize the supervisor to sign the contract for Alliance Cleaning Service.
Second.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye. And I'd also like to say that it's been very nice that Dolly is always coming in and saying, hey, you know, about a month and a half ago, we did a authorization for you to sign a contract with whatever. Where's that contract? You're supposed to give it to me to file in the clerk's office. And you say it nicer than that, by the way. And I'm always appreciative. I'm like, hey, great, I need that check and balance, to tell you the truth, you know, so it works pretty good. Oh, no, well, now I know why Ahmed is here tonight. Okay.
We're playing Jerry Maguire over here.
You know, my hand is gonna fall off with all these contracts I'm gonna be signing in the next week, huh? Well, I don't know if this should be Ahmed or if this should be Paul or a combination of you. Describing the next one.
Yeah, well, we,
Okay.
our budget includes $50,000 to support NEQLs, and we do annual contracts to explain all the details and to support the amount that we give. So that's the time to do the contract for 2021.
All right. Any questions, comments from the board? Ahmed?
Thank you. This is funding that we receive from the town to offset the losses for primarily the west side of the town, which anything is helpful. As of October, we were well over $110,000. So the support allows us to take care of people who can't pay. We can't tell them, we're not going to take 70-year-old people to collection, but we also have to keep watching. And the losses on the west side of High Water is getting significant. So thank you for keeping this amount of budget.
I would authorize the
Thank you.
supervisor to sign an agreement for advanced life support services in the town with Northeast Quadrant Advanced Life Support, Inc., in the amount of $50,000 for January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2021.
Second.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye. And I would say two things. I hope somewhere Barb Odenscott is watching tonight, because these pauses are because she told me when I first came on, don't propose a resolution for you to sign a contract, let somebody else. And I guess she got into my brain on that.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense. And the second thing is that this $50,000 ticks and ties to what the 2021 budget for the total town that we just approved earlier tonight. That's one of the line items. Wow. Looked like so many items, and here, we're down to the end. This is a kind of housekeeping items, when you say, Paul.
Looks like we're disposing of some fixed assets in assessing and in Parks and Recreation.
Yeah.
Okay, I would move we declare the following as an asset transfer from the Webster Assessor's Office for Recycling. Desk asset number 3186 and desk asset number 3490.
Second?
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty.
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi.
Aye.
Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
Councilman Abbott.
Aye.
Transfer from the Western Person. Declare an asset Oh, yeah, okay. I would make a resolution to declare the following as an asset transfer from the Webster Parks and Recreation Department for recycling. An old portable sound system from the Ridgecrest location, asset number 02957. I take it that's, you just, it got aged from that, Barry?
There's an 8-track sound?
It's no telling what this really is and how old it is.
Yeah.
Second.
Yeah.
Supervisor Flaherty.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Councilman Abbott.
Aye.
Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi.
Aye.
I think I can visualize this. I think it was a little box that had a wire and a mic, one where you plugged it in and a wire that took to a microphone. And I think it was a little speaker that they just moved around. As I recall, there was something like that.
Well, we should try to sell that and make some money on that.
Or either that or you can start your own business.
Yeah,
You know.
no, that's great. Well,
DJ time.
yeah, that's what we need. Speaking of which, well, I don't know if Karen has it across the screen right now. If anybody who's watching tonight would like to call in and ask the board or make any comments, 585-872-7011. While we wait on those calls, Ahmed, I think you want to. I guess it is. Sure. Are you the public? You know what?
That's gotta go back down.
So I'd first like to say thank you very much for doing the award presentation tonight. The family met me outside, the wife was in tears, was emotional in the matter, and the responders, it means something, because rarely do we get recognized for this, and rarely do we get to meet the patients, because of 100 reasons. With your permission, we've had 2 stays in the last 3 weeks. I'm not sure I'll get the family in, but if you don't mind, I'd like to do the certificates and do a presentation with the responders, because again, we don't say thank you to them enough, and for them to be recognized by the town board is, it's meaningful to them. So with your permission, I'll prepare stuff and get them on your agenda.
Certainly, I would say yes, Ahmed, to that. Certainly, because what we just experienced here tonight, I hope there's 1,000 people in Webster watching tonight, because that's incredible. What just
That's what
was
we do every
discussed
day.
here tonight. It really is.
And it's the first time it's been recognized that I remember.
Well, that's right, because yes, for a variety of reasons, but thank you for doing that. It was very meaningful tonight. So Patty, thanks, and thank you all. The second question is, we have the holiday parade of lights right around the corner. It would be very nice if the town board would register and have a spot, preferably near the end of the parade, so you can greet people as they exit or at the beginning. You pick beginning or end, but we need to get you registered and, a space, and then however you want your booth set up, because I think we have 1,700 and some cars registered already.
That's
We
great.
have almost 50 businesses and things, a few stragglers coming in. I got the opportunity to do a little plug on the news this morning. We have a DNC article that's coming out shortly. So I think we'll get probably 50 or 60 will be the final number of exhibitors. And, my personal goal is 2,000 cars. If we get that, we'll have beat Chris by a load. But so if you're interested, let's maybe
Intertown competition.
Yeah, that's great.
So, do we go, because I've seen this on social media and other places, do we go to that site to register?
Eventbrite? Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
I'll do it.
Well, we know it'll get done if you say you'll do it.
I was gonna tell you, better write it down.
Yeah, I know. This is
I'll go tonight.
Well, we got about 2 minutes left here, but before we do the round robin of the room of the board members and everybody, I would like to say that it looks like we're gonna try to start the digital town hall, the TV shows that were done in the past.
Electronic board.
Thank you, electronic, yeah, I call it the Merv Griffin Show for Webster. I talked to Barry Howard this morning, and he said that it's gonna be a real problem, because, you know, who can out-talk who, Barry or me?
That's,
That-
you know,
that
that's a
pretty.
good point.
Well, you better tell the
That's a
public,
toss-up.
you better tell everybody to get the popcorn going.
Yeah, and we said we might have to pass around the muzzle.
Not the mic,
Instead of,
yes.
you know, whatever, but we'll figure that out.
Mask on you with a muffle.
That's right, exactly, and but that's all I got to say. Superintendent of Highways, Herbs?
Leaves.
Leaves.
We're on pass number 4. We're in zone 4 on pass number 4. We're pushing about 11 to 1,200 loads right now out of normal 1,500, so we're doing good. West Side's still hanging on, but we're making, Mother Nature's been playing very nicely.
They're down.
So, yeah, and they're
West
getting
End,
them out.
they're down.
So, yeah, it's worked out well, so.
Do you
good
have
year
an
so
end,
far.
do you have an end date?
What's that?
Do you have an end date?
Yeah, the first week in December. I think we start the 30th of November through the 4th of December, whatever the calendar is in there.
So let everyone be warned that that will be the end.
Yeah, it's been publicized every way, shape, and form. That'll be our last pass, because we still have other stuff to do as well.
Is it my imagination, or did you send me a picture of a yard that had a bunch of like oak leaves, and there's not an oak tree in sight, and you
Yeah,
said somebody...
yeah, I sent that to you. It's not uncommon. That probably didn't even come from Webster. It came in a dump body and dumped it off, and there's not an oak tree on their yard or anywhere near their yard. It came from either another yard, a contractor, maybe it's a brother, a mother.
What?
So,
Think of that. Think of
Yeah,
that.
they brought in from Penfield in
Oh,
here.
somebody brought leaves and dumped them there.
Yeah.
And they almost look like they're boxed.
They were boxed.
Yes,
They were
okay.
cute. Yeah. Not uncommon.
Unbelievable.
So I said, just adds to the job.
The guy at the end
Yeah.
of my street does that.
What?
Yeah, he's a commercial landscaper, and he brings home leaves and dumps them on the corner of my street and Bay Road. And
Not
Oh,
cool.
that's not cool.
We might have to ticket.
You know,
That's like putting your home garbage in the work dumpster.
well, what's even worse is that half of them go out into the street.
Yeah.
So as you turn onto the corners, you pull onto the street, you gotta drive around his leaves.
do I know this
This-
landscaper?
This
You
particular
know everybody.
individual
Okay.
left significant tire rut tracks in the yard, so I'm sure, I hope that it's somebody they knew.
I can't get over that. I mean, that is, you just when you think you've seen it all.
I hope you just didn't give a whole bunch of people an idea.
Always thinking, yard guy.
Light bulbs just went off.
Well, can you top that one, Bill?
Nope.
Well, it's good to have you back.
Just starting to get healthy, that's.
Yep. Yep. Charlie, have you gotten in any trouble lately?
Thanksgiving to everybody.
Yeah? No trouble you've gotten in lately?
No.
Nothing?
He's got his turkey tiger on there.
I know, yeah. Yeah. Barry, I know what trouble you've been getting into, because I've been in too many meetings with you the last week.
We're gonna leave it there then.
Yeah. Yep. We'll save you to last, because, well, Paul, you probably don't have any voice cords left.
Happy Thanksgiving to the citizens of Webster. Other than that, things are in good shape.
John?
Happy Thanksgiving to everyone, and enjoy the time with your family, unrestricted.
My family is over 10 people.
There you go.
We're all in the same house.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm in the doghouse. Anyway.
Well, maybe.
Yeah. Well. Patty?
I would also wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, and restricted or not, take care of your loved ones.
Well, Dolly, let her rip.
I don't have a lot to share, other than we're just in between tax collection season, so we're just starting to gear up for January for town and county taxes.
Yeah. Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
Yep. Yellow, orange, red, open,
Whatever that
closed.
could be, I know.
It's,
There's a lot of unknowns.
You know, we just have to be flexible and, you know, patient with how things are going. So, hey, apparently we must have answered everything tonight. Nobody needed to call in. So, unless anybody else have anything.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, and this meeting is officially closed.